Well, welcome everybody to the third episode of the 1111 podcast. I'm Krista Kaiser, your host and also known as the Vibe Curator. And this is Glory Johnson out of Steamboat Springs, and she is known as the Morning Glory. Welcome, Glory.
Thank you.
Thanks for waking up early to be, in our time zone. This
No, my pleasure. I can't wait.
Glory, what's your sun, moon, and rising?
I am an Aries sun, Virgo moon, and Leo rising.
My goodness, you organized, fiery little showboat, you. I just love that.
I am.
Obsessed. So I actually know Glory through her work, breathwork and life coaching. So I've been lucky enough to be a participant in one of Glory's transformational breathwork sessions virtually, even though she does them both in person and online. And it was life-changing. It truly transformational. You named it correctly there. So Glory is an East Coast girl who lives in Steamboat Springs, California. She got up and ran away to the mountains.
I did.
And I mean, starting with that, like that's a pretty spiritual spot. That's a pretty magnificent, high vibrational spot to be in the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so different than the East Coast. I grew up in central New York, only an hour from Canada. So there's some kinship there.
Yes.
And I went to college down south in Virginia, so got a taste of the Southern life.
Yeah.
And then I ended up after college in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So definitely was an East Coast girl. I grew up though vacationing in the mountains. We have family here. I always felt really at home, and I always knew I wanted to live out here at some point, and
Mm.
it just sort of worked out that way. With my job, that my full-time job that I work is remote, so I was like, why not go now?
Yeah.
And I always say like this place, even going home for Thanksgiving and going back to the East Coast, and every time I come down the pass, if I'm driving like from Denver, there's just like this release of energy of just like the safety. I always say Steamboat's a valley and the mountains surround it. It's like a huge valley. So
Mhm.
you're so safe here. Even the land and the energy is just like safety. And because of that, a lot of shit you have to face. I feel like the mountains really bring up a lot that's been buried because you feel so safe. And if you're
Yeah.
dedicated to this work and your soul's journey, like you're just going to face a lot of your wounds and a lot of healing. So that's kind of been where what
Yeah.
I've been dealing with the past since moving here last June. So almost a year.
Right. So we have that in common because as you know, I also lived in the mountains.
Yes.
That's where my kind of spiritual journey really started.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the first time I lived in the mountains when I was 18, I felt trapped almost by the mountains. Like they felt
Mm,
like these huge things that were keeping me in one spot. And then when I came back, like you said, like it's almost like you're held. You're held in a space.
yes.
They support you, they surround you. It's like a mother nature hug,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
relate to the shitstorm of being held by the mountains.
Yes. I love it.
So that being said, like with knowing all of this, with knowing that you're going through a spiritual journey in the mountains, what does spirituality mean to you?
Oh, this is such an interesting question, especially where I'm at right now on my spiritual journey. I feel like the past few months I've been there one. So I think a lot of people that have spiritual awakenings, we all have multiple, we have every day.
Yes.
When you really are choosing to live awake on this 3D planet, I think naturally that journey progresses and you really start to learn that healing is not linear. And I definitely feel like I've been back at square one, even though it's a lot more potent, it's a lot deeper. It's like that peeling of the onion. Like the deeper you go, the more the universe is going to be like, okay, here you go. Let's get harder and harder and harder.
Totally.
So spirituality, I think to me, it just means like I'm so present and feel so connected to myself. Because I really think your connection to God, the universe, spirit, whatever you call, that energy, that universal power, I
Yeah.
think that connection happens through ourselves. Like the more connected I am to myself and to my spirit and to my heart center, the more connected I feel to God or to the universe. So that's really what spirituality means to me. I talk a lot about how I played lacrosse my whole life. And looking back, that was such a spiritual experience for me because I was so present when I played. My brain shut off. I was so in the moment. It was so natural. Like it was such a spiritual experience. So I really think spirituality, like, you can be a lawyer and be spiritual. You can be, a doctor and be spiritual. Like as long as you're
Yes.
connected to your truth and your soul, you're connected to everything around you. So that's really a long-winded answer for
I'm obsessed with it.
yourself.
And you hit exactly why I made this podcast.
Yes.
There is such an idea of like spirituality being such an other thing that somebody
Yeah.
else is a spiritual person or that you have to do X, Y, and Z to be a spiritual person. But like the idea of lacrosse being a spiritual experience is such, I think, an awakening for so many people. Like, yes, you
Yeah.
can be super present and feel really connected to yourself and a higher power doing anything, like you say. And
Right.
I really relate to that relationship of spirituality, God, higher power is within you. I mean, this is such a like left turn, but I grew up watching Roseanne. Roseanne was one of my favorite shows because
Mhm.
it was the only show I ever saw where people were yelling at each other in a house. It was like,
Mm.
money was a problem. People were broke. People were fucking crazy. Like I
Yes.
grew up with all that. So, but the very last episode, she's writing away in her little writing room and it kind of reveals that the last however many years were like her writing it, that Dan died and this happened and all of this. And it comes back to this idea that God is within me.
Mm.
That yes, there is God, but God is within me. And I'm not even particularly necessarily a religious person, but that is what I resonated with at maybe 9 years old or 10 years old when that aired. I always felt that was my experience and that's what I really like jumped onto. So I really appreciate you saying that because
Love it.
not, I mean, as if we needed any more reason to be obsessed with each other, Glory.
I know. I love it.
We've
I
got that.
love it. And yeah, I'm not necessarily, so I grew up Catholic.
Right.
So people listening can definitely probably relate to that. So like everything, I was baptized, did my first communion, I was confirmed, I went through the religious school. Like I did religion until
Yeah.
I was 16. I was
Right.
immersed in Catholicism. Um, so that was a really big struggle for me when I found my spiritual awakening. I completely like vetoed that word God.
Right.
Because I was taught that God was separate and he was this old man in the sky judging me. And I
Yes.
asked him constantly, I'm a sinner, and I had to ask him for forgiveness, like something's wrong with me.
Right.
So that was a really big, issue, not issue, but like struggle point for me in my spirituality, like just like healing my relationship with that word God and with religion in
Yeah.
general. So
Well, and I think that kind of again speaks to that spirituality piece too, where we all have our
yes.
ideas of what certain things mean. And we've all had examples of what we think that is, and to really reduce it back down to ourselves and go, okay, what is our relationship with that?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you killed it. And like, so you mentioned that you were from a Catholic background.
Yeah.
So like, what was your basis of spirituality growing up? Like, obviously you had the religion counterpart, but what was it? What did it look like?
Yeah. So it's funny, I think about this a lot because people do ask me, like, did you have, a hippie mom, some stuff like that to be introduced.
Yeah.
And both my parents are very religious. So God was definitely like in our household, but I think the one thing that like really like saved me or like gave me that sort of outlook that you had with Roseanne
Mhm.
was my mom was obsessed with angels and she still is. So
Cool.
she did so much work with this woman named Kate Large who like ran this whole program called like Angel Speak. So angels was like a typical like theme in our house. Like when I remember my mom asking when we were little, who are your guardian angels? Like you have some, like you should know them. And at that age, you're so connected to spirit because you're fresh out of the
Yeah.
womb. It was so easy for me. I named mine. I knew what they looked like. Um, so in that, and my mom, always told us stories about how our angels are protecting us. So that was always really cool for me to
Yeah.
like have. And then I loved quotes. I've always loved quotes, like since I was little. And like I had a Tumblr and it was just very and a really cool outlet for me to like, even though I knew I wasn't, even though I wasn't in like the pits of like teenagerism, quotes just always made me feel seen
Yeah,
and like, oh my God, like the beauty in people's writing and the words, like that always really made me feel connected to
yeah.
something bigger. But it wasn't a very like prominent, I didn't really have a connection to myself or to God
Mhm.
besides church. And I
Yeah.
prayed a lot. I prayed every night for everybody else. I always said my nighttime prayers for, I went through a list of like all the people in my life that like Catholic prayer at night. Like I had to do my prayer list. Like, so I definitely like wasn't not familiar with praying, but, and we can get into it if you want, like, there's definitely this theme in my life, this wound that like God's not there for me.
Let's go into it.
Yeah.
Let's open that wound, baby.
So this is a fresh one. It's brand new. Um, I've always kind of known it was there, but I
Yeah.
actually did some like IFS work with my therapist and working through it in EMDR, and I just discovered this like little 4-year-old part that almost was just like you're alone. Like I
Mm,
think part of that is like my Virgo moon, like the realistic part of me, the logical, like the 3D, like
yes.
there's nothing there. Like, and you're on your own, and everything you do, whether it's taking action or inaction, like is your fault. Like you're creating that. And I think that's been a struggle too with
Yeah.
the spiritual community. Like your thoughts create your reality. Like you have to match the vibration of what you want, or you're not gonna, get the life you want. You're not gonna live the life you want to live. You're not gonna like reach your manifestations. I think that's kind of just like reinforce that wound that like
Yeah.
it's your fault. Um, and I would pray for things and they wouldn't happen. So I'd be like, what the hell, God? Like, where are you?
Yeah.
And that's like a theme, like me thinking I know what I want and like praying for it and trying to go after it. And
Mm.
God's like, nope, this is not your plan. Like that is definitely a theme for me.
Do you remember the first thing that you like prayed for or asked God for that you felt really dejected that you didn't receive? Like something that really started, like obviously started this wound.
I grew up in a pretty emotional, chaotic household, and I
Mhm.
kind of just remember I don't remember a specific memory, but like a feeling of like, why the hell am I taking care of everybody? Like
Yeah.
I'm 4 years old. Like, why am I protecting my brother? Why am I, you know, help soothing my dad, like making sure he's okay? Like,
Yeah.
what my mom? Like, I just remember like, and I come from a huge family. My dad's one of five, my mom's one of seven. So chaos
Wow.
is the theme, right? Like growing
Yes.
up around all my cousins are the same age. And just sort of feeling like, what did I like reincarnate into?
Yeah.
Like, this is a lot.
I chose this? Are you fucking kidding
Yeah,
me?
like, am I okay? But so I just remember feeling like really alone.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think like another theme that I just like always come back to, like when you do the part work and it's like, what does that little Glory need?
Hmm.
And it was like nobody sat down with her and was like, are you okay? Like, what's going on?
Hmm.
Like presence,
Yeah.
like was present with me.
Which,
Um,
sorry, so fucking full circle because you said like spirituality is feeling present.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a beautiful full circle moment that you are the person that you needed now when you
Yeah.
were 4 years old already. Like we've already gotten that established. You have done all of that beautiful work. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So
No.
yeah, that's a little sneak peek into my healing journey.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's just it. Like, I think that a lot of people think that when you do this type of work, you're exempt from
Hmm.
lessons and from like waves and failures of hope. And we all have scarcity mindset. We all have our limiting beliefs. We all have our traumas, our wounds, our deepest fears. And I think that talking about it takes away the power, of that, like being abandoned, feeling alone. Who do I talk to about this? There's no one to talk to. So
Yeah.
I think that's also incredible. And like we touched on this a little bit earlier, but I'm not sure how much you want to share, but Glory is going through like her mom has always been into angels, and
Mhm.
Gloria and her mom are actually on this beautiful healing journey, somewhat like separately but together.
Yeah.
So how has that been? How did that start? How did that look like?
Oh my gosh. It's been I feel in that like I feel so blessed. Like to have my mom, I always like people always say like, oh, they speak your language, which is
Yeah.
all the healing stuff. It's been, I think, the biggest blessing I've probably ever had in like lifetimes. Like to
Mm.
be able to not only be seen, but be able to tell my mom, like everything that I'm going through and she understands. Like it's not some foreign concept
Right.
is one of the like most miracles like I've ever
Mm.
experienced. And so the way it started was so I had my first awakening in 2020, like a lot of people did.
Yeah.
But I graduated, so I was a senior in 2020. March 2020 was my last lacrosse season. In college, I was a senior captain, and all of a sudden it was over.
Yeah.
You're done. Bye. Like and you're in the real world now. So I fell into a pretty deep depression
Mhm.
because I completely lost my identity. I had no idea who I was if I didn't
Yeah.
have lacrosse. Look, I was a lacrosse player for 18 years.
Mhm.
That was my connection to spirit,
Yeah.
my where I felt most myself. Part of being part of a team, being a leader of a team, like that connection, like all of that was gone.
Mm.
And honestly, that was like the way I processed my emotions by moving my body, by running, by playing. Like, so not having that outlet anymore was just devastating on so many fronts. So I really was just in this floating space, like, who the hell am I and what am I here to do? And I really wanted to go to therapy, back to therapy in person. Because like everything shut down, right? COVID. And I was like, I was home living with my parents, and I was like, I really want to just like find a place in person to go see someone. And there was like one place seeing people, and it was called the Center of Grace. And I thought it was gonna be therapy. So I walked in the doors to see the owner and like the lead practitioner there. Her name's Renee McLean. I literally owe her so much. But I walk in and I sit down, and it's so vibey, like it's so spiritual. And I'm like, oh my God, like I love it here. Like I just instantly felt held.
At home.
And I walk into her room and I sit down and we just start talking. And then she's like, okay, you're gonna lay down on the table. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, we're gonna do breath work. And I was like, oh, okay. That first breathwork session completely changed my life. I was going to law school the next year, and I look at her and I go, I don't think I'm supposed to be a lawyer. And she's like, you're not. She's like, you're not. But so I experienced breathwork for the first time. That was really like my part of my spiritual awakening.
Yeah.
And then I kept telling my mom for like months. I was like, you need to go. Like, you need to go to Renee. You need to experience breathwork. Like, you just need to go. And she kept putting it off and putting it off. And finally, I think something happened and she went like 5 months later. She had a 3 hour long session. She called me like sobbing and was just like, holy shit, like this is what I've been looking for my whole life. My mom has always been on that mission of connecting to God and enlightenment, but
Yeah.
very in a religious, strict way.
Mhm.
And breathwork just like opened the door for her. She like did the whole apprenticeship with Renee. Like she just like it's her medicine.
Yeah.
And so breathwork was really both of our serious like awakening and like both of our themes. And I think a really big wound the women all have in our family is like self-acceptance and like
Mhm.
self-love, no matter like how you act. And I think that's our really big wounds, like loving myself and like
Right. Like a
accepting who I am.
generational wound.
Yes, like accepting who I am and standing in that confidently and like firmly. And so it's just been so like we literally like start at the same time. We're doing different things, but
Mhm.
like the same but different, like
Yeah.
same. I love astrology. Um, she loves like meditation and japa. Like it's just like so cool to
That's
see how
awesome.
both like on the same path but doing different things. Um, and it's just amazing to be breaking like these like generational patterns like with her. And
Yes.
knowing that like my kids are gonna like have an awake mom and an awake grandma is like,
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be like so cool and
What
so
a
healing.
beautiful journey. Like now something stuck out to me when you were saying that when you walked into that center, how you just felt again held.
Yeah.
And for somebody who has that kind of abandonment from
Mhm.
God, greater power, like that is your physical your physical marker of I'm safe. This is a spiritual place for me. This is where I'm meant to be. So sorry, that just stuck out when you
No,
were
it's
talking
so,
about
and it's
that.
such a testament to the woman I mentioned, Renee McLean.
Hmm.
She really is the breathwork guru of Syracuse and of Central New York. I think she is like a leader in this field. We have the same birthday, and we're both Aries Sun, Leo rising, and we just are very connected. And she's just been such an amazing, she's around my mom's age, and she's just been such an amazing teacher. I feel so lucky to have learned from her
Yeah.
and to have learned it in such a like apprenticeship way and organic way,
Right.
because I've done so much work with her, and she hosts retreats there, and she's down doing the work with you. Like,
Yeah.
she is not acting like some holy guru.
Hmm.
Like, she can relate to you. She is doing the work too. And I think that, like you said earlier, I think that is so important. Like, in this world, like, we are not exempt. Like, I am not better than you. I am just maybe showing you a different way. I'm a guide. Like, I'm just here to
Yes.
hear something to you. Like, that's why I think I love breath work so much, because you're doing the work. I'm just walking you through it. I'm just
Yeah.
being like, hey, maybe do this type of breathing, or maybe move your body this way, but you are doing the work. And that's really Renee's MO, like giving you your power back.
Mm.
And you, like, your healing and your life is in your hands. It's, you don't have to rely on me like to heal you.
Like here's the tools,
Yeah.
you're capable.
Yes.
Now, for people who don't or haven't experienced breath work, like obviously I know you could probably write a thesis on this, but like, and one day I will very much encourage you to. But I was wondering if you were able to just kind of give a nice synopsis of
Yeah.
breath work.
Yeah. So there's so many different types of breath work. So many different. Probably the most popular people know of is Wim Hof, which is such a cool experience. I think the type of breath works that I lead and guide are a little more spiritual. I think Wim Hof's very like health and like wellness. It's the same vibe
Yeah.
as one of the breaths that I teach. So I teach different one's in a group setting. It's called the transformational breath, and that's the one you experienced. Another one that's more one-on-one focused is somatic respiratory integration, or
Mm.
SRI. And then the last one that I've actually started teaching in classes, but it can be one-on-one or not. It's called the puppy belly breath.
Ooh.
And I learned that from Dr. Lawrence Conlin, who is also Renee's teacher. And it was just like, so, they're all so different, the three breaths that I mainly focus in. And they all are used for different vibes. Transformational breath is a lot more intense. You're getting
Mhm.
into your emotions, and you're really feeling into your trauma, and it's a release of emotion. It's really connected to your a nervous system and your
Right.
subconscious. And it's basically like a hyperventilating breath, as you
Mhm.
experienced. And then there's a primal scream involved with it. It's very like I said, it's very intense, but it's very cleansing and very healing. Whereas the puppy belly breath is all about compassion. It's all about breathing into certain sensations in your body and just sending this like loving breath into that. So if you have a stomach ache, if you have neck pain, back pain,
Oh.
you're connecting with that sensation, and you're sending your breath, your life force energy there, and you're just witnessing it. You're
Mm.
truly just witnessing it, and being with that sensation, because we so often run from our bodies
Yes.
when I have pain, we disconnect, right? I don't want to live in my body. It's not a safe place to live.
Right.
Completely disconnected. This really brings you back down um, through a really compassionate way. And that was like a breath I really needed to learn, and I utilize it. And then SRI is it's an amazing breath. It's similar to puppy belly, but also different. You're really connecting to each chakra, and you're breathing
Mm.
into each chakra, seeing which is most blocked, where is it hardest to breathe into, where is it easiest.
Mm.
And we're kind of going deep into whatever chakra is blocked through the breath and whatever emotions are associated with that. When the client's on the table where I'm asking, what are you feeling? I feel alone. I feel stupid. I feel,
Right.
you know, unworthy. I
Yeah.
feel sad. And we're
Mm.
really tapping, and it's so amazing to see as they say those feelings, just like the breath, like watching it expand and the breath getting deeper and really just that release. That was the first type of breath I was introduced to through Renee,
Wow.
the transformational breath, and then the puppy belly by Lawrence. But they're all so different, but also amazing. And yeah, it really just gives the person their power back. And it's
What
that
does,
somatic type of healing.
yeah, like what does breath work do to your body?
Yeah. So a lot of times, we get reviews all the time. I got more out of breathwork hour class than I have in 7 years of therapy. And the reason that's the case is because you are tapping into your subconscious. So for those, most people listening to this probably know our actions and our behaviors and our thoughts and beliefs are 99%, 95% coming from our subconscious,
Right.
not our conscious mind. Another word for your subconscious mind is your body.
Right.
So, or your nervous system.
Imagine. It's so wild. I've actually never heard anybody say that, and that act like that just reverberated through my body.
So we're holding on to all of these unprocessed emotions like when we're younger and we're learning how to walk and talk and live in the world. We
Mhm.
have these huge emotional, spurts. And when you start to feel an emotion in your body, you feel it in your body first, right?
Yeah.
I've heard so many people say your emotions are your compass. So you
Mm.
feel it in your body. Emotions aren't from your thoughts. You
Right.
to experience an emotion, and then that triggers your brain to be like, okay, something's going on here. Like, and then those thoughts start spiraling.
Right.
But when we're younger, we start the nervous system loop. We get really excited or we get really upset, and we start to really, you can feel it like when you're young,
Mhm.
like you can feel the buildup of the emotion.
Yeah.
And then we start freaking out, whether it's from excitement or anger,
Right.
upsetness, and our parents, teachers, friends, siblings, anybody that's around you is like, stop, because that makes them uncomfortable, right? Too.
Yeah.
They're like, stop. Why? What are you getting upset for? Parents are like, stop crying, settle down, calm down. So as a kid, you're like, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong for me to feel. So I need to stop. And you stop in the middle of the nervous system loop.
Mm.
But what most people, not everybody, because there are a lot of people that know this now, what most people don't realize is that emotions, you're feeling all of this shit in your body, that's energy.
Right.
Emotions are literally energy in motion, and energy doesn't just disappear. It
No.
has to go somewhere,
Yes.
and you didn't release that emotion. You didn't process it all the way. So emotions end up storing in different places in your body.
Yes.
We're all walking around feeling heavy, feeling stuck, feeling we're in these old patterns, all these old wounds. I'm getting triggered all the time.
Yeah.
That is literally just unprocessed trauma or emotions in your body that's being held in your cellular tissues, like
Yes.
point blank. So you can't really, talk therapy doesn't get to that root, that somatic experience to
Yeah.
release it. You can talk about it all you want,
For sure.
honestly, but subconsciously, you're not really doing anything to release it.
Mhm.
So while I'm not knocking talk therapy. I've been in talk therapy for 9 years. Like
There you go.
I
I'm
need
with
that.
you.
I need it too. I need to process through words what
Yeah.
I've experienced somatically. So what breath work does is it connects you back into your body, and you breathe into these places that are blocked where you're experiencing pain, any other place, and it allows you to fully start that nervous system loop up again and release all of those emotions.
Mm.
So in the class you experienced with me, people, at one point you're thinking about a time when you were four, at another point you can be thinking about yesterday.
Yep.
You can experience grief, anxiety, anger. That's a big one. Like, let me release all of this anger I'm holding on to. It's really just a letting go
Yeah.
of allowing your body to just let it all go, because your body doesn't want to hold on to it. Like, your
No.
body's like, I don't like this. Like, I want to be free. I want to create space to
Yes.
create a different life for myself. Like, let's get rid of it. But that's really the gift of breath work, is to just, the one thing about breath work for me is it really helps my relationship with myself.
Mhm.
It gives me acceptance. It gives my emotions and my experiences validation. Like, it's okay to
Mhm.
feel this. Your emotions are not wrong. You are not broken.
And it's
Like,
also giving us space to feel those emotions because, like you say, so often we run away from them. We
mm,
feel like we know that they're there, but we're doing everything in our power to avoid
right,
them. So, this
right.
is like a space to actually, okay, I know
Yeah.
I'm going to do breath work. My intention is to release these trapped emotions and what's sitting within me.
Right. And also the release, and then the integration, the embodiment. Like, the feeling that comes after that release and that connection is one in every single breath that I do. The aftermath of really doing the breath is oneness, is
Yeah.
connection with myself and
Mhm.
then with spirit. So it's really this acceptance of like, hey, I have these emotions and it's okay. Like, they don't define me. I am not my emotions. It's okay
Yeah.
to have them, and it doesn't make me a bad person or a weird person or a sad person or an angry person. Like, this is just part of my experience.
Yeah.
And now, once you get that tool in your toolbox, the next time you get triggered, you just breathe into it. And another thing that, I've been taught my whole life about breath work is it really brings you back to the present moment. You
Yeah.
know, the breath is the present moment, and you're not thinking about the future. You're not worrying about the past. Like, you're just in it and you're with your body and you're just, you know, releasing. It's like all about getting rid of the blocks somatically. So,
Well, and what I really love about breathwork is how accessible it is. Like it's something where, like
yes,
I invested in a breathwork session with you in that group, but I have used those tools multiple
right.
times after the session. Like it's something that you just need your breath and yourself. And
Yes.
that is it. Like there's no, obviously you do need to have a semblance of knowing what the fuck you're doing if you're trying to do it properly, but
Yeah.
or meaningfully in a way for your
Yeah.
body and your
Yeah.
somatic system. But I think that's what's such a beautiful thing about it is like, especially in a world like today where some people can afford a room in a house and some people can afford an acreage. So it's
Right.
it's it's an equalizer. It's a great spiritual equalizer where it's
Mm.
like you're left alone. We all breathe at the end of the day. So it's
Yeah.
your choice of how present you want to be, how spiritually connected you want to be to your breath.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it really highlights like our humanness. Like,
Mhm.
I think the breath, like, you are here on this earth, your soul, we're all spiritual beings in a
Yeah,
human body.
yeah,
I fully believe that. But I think a lot of the spiritual community, and when you start to heal, people use that as a form of escapism. I don't want to be here. I'm going to the 5D.
yeah.
I'm going to the spirit world. But the breath really like cohesively marries the spiritual and the human.
And the
And like,
physical.
you're
Yeah.
forced to be in the 3D and the 5D. You're doing something through the 3D, like through
Yeah.
your body, through this physical specimen, this your avatar, as people call it, like on this planet.
Mhm.
Like, the key is to go through your humanness, which a lot of people don't want to, especially early on in your spiritual journey. I was like, I can't be here in the 3D. Like, I need to be peace and zen and spirit. Like, I completely rejected my humanness. I was like, no, I don't want to be this fiery glory. Like, no, I want to be like a zen
You want to be the
spirit. I
best
want to be my
healed
soul.
version.
I want to be my soul,
Right.
you know? And then I've obviously learned a lot of lessons and come to realize, like, no, I chose glory for a reason. Like, I chose this human and these traits and
Well,
these
and this
plans
experience.
and this experience. And that's where I feel the disconnect. That's when depression sets in, when I reject glory, not my soul. Like,
Yeah.
when I reject this human
Yeah.
and this human experience and judge it, that is when, I feel so separate, feel so not on my path.
Well, it's so interesting that you say that because like it's you said when you were a kid that feeling of asking for something and God not delivering, and then coming back into this and again, like calling it in and hoping and wishing and praying it all arrives the way you want it to as that spiritual being, but not knowing how it's going to happen in our life, how magical it can be, how much greater it can be than what we want. And it's
Yeah.
such a fucking learning curve
Yes.
to put that back into your body and go, you know what, like, yes, I'm a spiritual being, yes, I have all these magical tools, but like I can't miss what's meant for me, and I'm exactly where I need to be, and unfortunately there's a reason why I'm having to go through this shit. And I think like a lot of people, like you coming out of college and just feeling like kind of abandoned again, like your team's gone, your identity's gone, all of these things, and burrowing in and having that soul connection to self, to your breath, to like there was this great there's this one oracle card set that I use with my Reiki. It's the Sacred Rebels Oracle cards.
Oh, that's my favorite deck.
It's incredible. And there's this one card, I can't remember which one it is. I think it's like the heartbeat one. And it talks about how our breath like is the same breath that like moves the
Yeah.
universe.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
skin is the same, made up of the same morsels that the earth is made of. The water in our body is the same thing. So we as much as we try to get away from being human on this earth, we're literally made up of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. It's so amazing. And it's I think it's one of the most important parts. And you dive into spiritual awakening and you're like, I'm awake.
Yeah.
I have one foot in a 3D, one foot in the 5D, but I want to spend all my time in the 5D because who wouldn't?
Yeah.
That's where we come from. Like that, I really believe like when wherever we are, when we're not here,
Mhm.
like we are whole.
Yeah.
Like we are whole. We are not separate from this universal power. And then that pulling, like, okay, you got to go back down to Earth now, or you have to go to a different planet wherever you're incarnating. Like you are separating,
You're
and
going.
you're this human, this spiritual being in a human body, and it's fucking hard, and it's sad,
Yeah.
and there's suffering, and like there's suffering everywhere, and
Absolutely.
in us all, and I think it's so hard because you just want to be like, I just want to feel good all the time. I don't want to feel this way.
Well,
But
that's that toxic positivity, like, and that's a big thing in spirituality. Like, we all have our escapism. Some people it's drinking, some people it's working out, some people it's
yeah.
reading. Like, everybody has their thing. It doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. It doesn't necessarily mean it's not healthy.
Mhm.
But there's so much, toxic positive, like, no, I don't like this feeling, so I'm not going to delve into it. Instead of like, why is this feeling coming up? How do I have compassion for this feeling? And like, breath work, I think, was a great equalizer for that, to
Yeah.
have compassion for the things that do come up that maybe are uncomfortable and
Yeah.
aren't necessarily something that you really want to sit and marinate your brain in.
Right, for sure.
Have you had other types of readings? Like, what was the first type of reading or session or anything you've ever had?
Um, so Renee is definitely a channel. So like every time I would go into her room, she's a channel. She's so connected. She's definitely a pioneer on this earth. I fully believe that. And the first reading, one of the first readings I ever did was with astrology, was with Daniela Carpeninos. She runs Cosmic Latte
Yeah.
on, yeah, and we became friends like instantly, like through that reading. So I got my astrology read by her. Um, First tarot I ever got, I think was through you.
Really?
Yes, I think the first tarot I ever did was through you, but we didn't have a session. It was like you meditated on it and sent me like a whole PDF. Like we didn't have
Oh,
a
yeah.
and that was really cool. And then when I was in Philadelphia, I really struggled. I was in law school. I was in a very 3D city, like profession,
Yeah.
industry, and all the above. And it was really hard because there was not a lot of nature around. So I turned to yoga. I did what everybody does, turn to yoga. And I found a teacher that I loved, and she is a psychic, and
Mm.
she channeled guides, and so like every yoga class was amazing, and she was just a great person. Her name is Tracy Phoenix, and she does tarot. So I got my card, my reading. I started to get like every 6 months readings done by her, she channels your guides. And it was amazing. But every time I saw her, it was like a swift kick in the ass. Like
Yeah.
my guides were like every reading with her was like 1, 2, 3, you need to like embrace who you like it was very like a swift kick in the ass. Like
Right. I
dude,
I've received those readings and I've given those readings, so I know
yeah.
what they're like.
Yeah. Like I would cry every time. Like I was just like, oh my God.
Oh,
But yeah, so I definitely am I just started doing Reiki for the first time. Here I see women here, Savannah McGlone. I love her. She does like massage and Reiki.
cool.
She's a big channel. Like, I don't know, it's just so I love it because it
Yeah.
makes you feel validated.
Yeah.
Um, and I still question my intuition and channel abilities, even though
It's
it's
so
like,
funny.
but I still question them.
Every single person you meet ends up being a channel or an intuitive or a psychic or something. It's
Yes.
so fun.
So yeah, but I love readings. I like love them. I would get a reading every week if I could.
I think it's such a thing. I touched on this before, where I think readings for people who have felt misunderstood or who haven't, really felt like people see their truest self.
Yeah.
It's such a like life-changing thing to be told by a
Yes.
virtual stranger all of these things that are going on with you. So, I totally resonate with that. I love readings, love,
Yeah.
love, love, love them. And I find too with myself, I am blocked to read myself. I can
Hmm.
feel things, things come through, but I am not, I am way too biased. I am way too invested. I have no discretion when it comes to myself at all. And that's where I actually found in your breathwork session when we did that,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had a lot
Yeah,
of
at the end you get messages. I go somewhere completely. I go somewhere else
well,
and
I'm
the
not somebody
messages you receive are crazy.
crazy. And I'm not somebody who like I'm not a medium. I wish I was because everybody I love is dead and I would spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
But
Maybe that's why you're not a medium.
honestly, I swear to you, it's like you barely leave your house now. Good fucking luck. If you're a medium,
Yeah, you would never leave. You would have
just have
talking to
like
the
pool
dead.
party with spirits. Can
Literally, that would be you.
I get you a spirit? No, but I connected with my grandmother, my grandfather, my dad, my late ex-boyfriend, like so many people. And it was like going down the line. And so for somebody who's not able to receive message for myself, who has a really hard time doing that, even though I have no problem doing it for anybody else, I found breathwork, that transformational breathwork class to be like to remove the blockage that I had kind of and just like allow the floodgates to kind of go.
Oh,
So
it's
I can
amazing.
speak to that for sure.
Yes. And there so many people have that experience, right? Like they just feel, you know, other people there. I every time I'm in the room, other people are there. Like I
Yeah.
can feel people's guides, angels, past ancestors. Like it is so potent, and I think that's such a good call out. Like it's because you're removing those blocks. It's because you're connecting to that source within you, like that life force. I always say at the end of the class, like feel that life force, that
Yeah.
energy that's sitting inside of you that, we're not tapped into all day, every day at all.
No, I mean, I'm a Reiki practitioner and like Shrimp had something going on my dog last week and I was like, oh yeah, I could just Reiki her. Like it was such a silly thing where I don't think about it. It's like a tool that goes unused by
Yeah.
myself. But if anybody else ever needs it, I'm happy to pull it out. But I don't,
Yeah.
it's a hard thing. And again, we're not exempt from trying to take our own temperature energetically, spiritually, what we need, what we can do for ourselves and what we can't. Like that's half the battle is knowing what you're good at, knowing what your strengths are, knowing what your weaknesses are and what needs more work.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. Now, throughout the spiritual journey, like what have been some of your greatest like aha moments? You're like, I am exactly where I'm meant to be. I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
It's hard for those that don't know, like Virgo moons are like one of the hardest moon sign. Every astrologer has told me like that is tough. Like you're that's tough. And I was like, I know. Um, I think it's also hard because my sun my Aries sun is squared Saturn. So that
So
means
too fiery.
it means I only learn through hard lessons. I only learn
Mhm.
lessons. I only grow through lessons.
Right.
So it's hard. Like this energy that I was born into is very masculine. I've used it my whole life, very masculine, right? We're
Right.
in a masculine world and, being an athlete and having this Virgo moon that expects so much of myself and just pushes me and judges everything. And it's definitely manifested more masculine. So it's very hard to be proud of myself. It's very hard to be like, I'm exactly where I'm meant to be because I'm always trying to like get to the next place. I really struggle with being present like most people do
Yeah. But it's
and
such a
being
dichotomy because I mean, your spirituality is all about being present, and then that moon can come up and like just kind of jostle you right out of the moment. And
yeah,
like for those who don't know, like Virgos are very analytical, they're very discerning, they like order, they like things to go a certain way. It's possibly the most organized of all the zodiacs, but it's also very caring sign, but there's parameters. There's a
yeah,
lot of parameters. I think that's a good way to put it with a
yeah,
Virgo. And moon is like our body and our emotions. So with Glory's, Virgo moon, that's an analytical emotion. Like, so you can't even have an emotion without going, well, why is that there? What
yeah,
is this about? What's going on with this?
yes. So I definitely have had aha moments when I walked into Renee's
Yeah. Yeah.
center. I definitely was like, holy shit. I definitely feel like I am being led.
Mm.
I definitely feel like I see the synchronicities. I see, the times where I get a lot of signs. My Reiki practitioner said to me the other day, like, you have a really big spirit team. Like you
Yeah.
have a huge one. Um, and that's, not everybody has a big spirit team. And so you're probably meant to do something big. And so I definitely feel guided.
Mhm.
I think it's really hard for me I'm in this space right now. I'm really trying to reprogram that part of me that needs to know what's next
Yeah.
and needs to have a plan and needs to know exactly how I'm going to get there and what it's going to look like. And this
Totally.
is what I want. So,
Well, and it's tough too because you're also 25.
yeah,
Like,
yes,
and for anybody who is my age, around 37, older or above, we all have our Saturn return. So it's like we put all of this pressure on ourselves to know exactly what we're supposed to do, to be in the right spot. Oh my God, who am I going to be? How am I going to show up in the world? What am I going to do for work? All of this. And then around 20, 29, 30. Saturn's just like, bitch, get fucked. You're not doing
yes,
any of that, not a single thing. So it's tough because we put all this pressure. It's like a bottleneck, all of this pressure comes to this thing and then it all just comes shooting out the other side. And
yeah,
who knows where the hell that pressure is going to send you.
right. And I definitely have not obviously hit that yet. And,
No.
and, and I
But that is
do.
a conversation that you and I tend to come back to when you kind of get swept up and like, what the hell am
Yes.
I going to do next? It's like you are one of the most accomplished. And I don't just mean that professionally in any way. I genuinely mean that spiritually. You are a spiritually accomplished person. And like, just because you've lived on this earth multiple times and you've done several rounds of this, I think that's like your other, like, we all have past lives. We all have, like, our soul has been through different bodies. I
Yeah.
think that's like your soul's memory is being
Yeah.
like, but you're used to having it like this. And it's like,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Yeah.
just
No,
learning. I'm a
my soul was like,
baby.
Mad, we're gonna give you all this energy to be like, I need to know, and you're not gonna know. You just have to go where we blow you. And I'm like, okay,
But
cool.
again, I think that shows the difference between like I'm a Leo moon, and so I just kind of I go where I feel good. I go where the sun hits. I go, what works for me. And with a Virgo moon, you're always going to have that discernment. You're always going to parse things out. You're always going to be thinking of things. And that's just how people are. Not everybody is going to have the same experience. And so I think that's, again, a great lesson for people listening is like, just because even if you get into breath work, you get into life coaching, you get into all of these beautiful things, it does not mean you're not going to question yourself and still think that there's more or less or what can I do differently.
Yeah. No, it never ends.
I
I
always,
mean, I don't want to give people not hope, but it's a journey. Like that is the journey, and that's like my journey, I think.
yeah,
It's coming back to trusting.
Hell yeah.
It's a
When
big
I,
theme.
I often tell people in my sessions and stuff that like this isn't like Super Mario 3. Like you don't get to the end of the level and you get to like jump on the flag and go into the castle and eat dinner with the princess. That's
Yeah,
not a thing. At the
that's not.
end of the shit is more shit. There at the end of our healing is more healing. It's deeper stuff. Okay, you thought you did it? Just kidding, bitch. We got to go 35 feet deeper. Like
Right.
it's never ending. So there's no real, I always say take the pressure off to get to the end because if it's the end, we're dead.
Yes, literally. You're
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Rip. Now, with having that beautiful Virgo moon and with having a different, your own unique spiritual journey, what have been the hardest spiritual lessons that you've learned along the
Oh
way?
my God. Um, Hardest spiritual lessons I've learned. So I just learned that in human design, I'm a non-specific manifester, and I felt like the rug was ripped from under me because I'm a person, I know what I want. And that plays out to the theme of God and the universe never gave me what I want. Because I'm a non-specific, the universe is like, no, no, no. You don't get to pick. Like, you are going to go where we think is best for you, which I'm working right now with the Cosmic Laundry, Giselle. I'm doing her feminine energy coaching because I lived my whole life in the masculine and
Cool.
need some feminine energy. And she's a human design and astrologer specialist. So she's like, I'm jealous of you. Like, I wish I was a non-specific. She's specific. And she's like, I don't know what I want. Like, you get to be in this space of like, okay, universe, show me what I don't need to do any work.
Yeah.
Show me I want to feel like this.
Mhm.
Bring me there. She's like, that you are so fucking lucky. And I'm like sitting there like, but I know what I want. Like, so I want them to be like, 1, 2, 3, universe, bring me this. And the universe is like, nope, we know what's best for you. And she was like, I have to sit there and be detailed and be like, the universe, this is what I want. And, it's on me. So I think that's been a really hard spiritual lesson for me
Yeah.
is letting go of that control, like I was talking about. Like that is how I have survived.
Mhm.
I've survived through my mind. I've survived by having a plan,
Yeah.
being prepared, knowing all the next steps in my life, even though none of them really ever stuck true because the universe was like, you have no idea what you want. Um, so just trusting that I'm on the right path and that really trusting that I'm being led to the life that I really want to live
Mhm.
is really hard for me. And having faith, I think trust and faith,
Mhm.
which people are probably listening like, what the hell? Like you are a spiritual person and you don't have trust and faith. Like there's no hope for any of us. But I just think it was really hard growing up. Like
Yeah.
I really relied on myself. I have 5 placements in Aries. The hyper independence is so real. So it was just, reinforced. Like
Yeah.
I can take care of myself and I don't need anybody, not even the universe. Like I'm on my own.
Right.
And so I think that's really been a hard lesson too. And then one that's come up recently is my anger. And like I associate that with my fire. And for 22 years, my anger was my protection. That was like my walls. I had a temper. And
You
then
are just, I've been having this conversation for the last 2 weeks. Anger is hurt's bodyguard.
yes. Yeah,
And
anger protected me.
kept
Oh my God, for
it's
22
still to
years.
this day, it still like comes out. It's like, girl, we're not, it's like Whitney Houston
Right.
imposter. Like I'm being lifted up by my anger, being like, no, we got to get her out of here.
Right. So I just had this kind of like download um that I never really let myself be angry at my parents.
Yeah.
And,
For feeling so alone growing up.
for like, for making me the way that I am.
Mm.
For dealing me the, everybody goes through that. Like, oh my God, my parents fucked me up.
Yeah,
Everybody goes
totally.
through that. Right.
Girl,
I kind of
estranged for 13 years. So
Right. So I kind of skipped that and was like, no, like they did that. They did the best they could. And it's because they're hurt little children. Like they're, having compassion for them. So I never really let myself be angry with my parents. I never really let myself be angry at God.
Mm.
And so learning, I was just in Ireland 2 weeks ago, and me and my mom, I went with my mom and we did this hike on these cliffs in Donegal where people pilgrimage to, like Saint Bridget, Saint Patrick, like came over from wherever they came from, I think like Spain, and reach those cliffs first. So, and there, it's so holy. Like you can just feel the potent energy. It is so holy. And I was hiking up, and my mom said something that triggered me, and I got pissed. And now what I do is I'm like, why am I angry? Like I don't react anymore. I'm like, why am I so pissed? Like, why did that piss me off? And it just
Yeah.
went down into this spiral. And I just kept getting the message, like, your anger is holy. Like your anger is
Ooh.
feminine. Like your anger is sacred. Like I have been struggling. Like, I'm like, I don't want to be so masculine anymore. I don't want to sit in this energy of
Mhm.
forcing and holding on and just like doing all these things. I really want to tap into the feminine energy and like to hear that my fire, my anger is feminine. I was like, holy shit. Like it was like, yes, like that is truth. Like, and so,
Affirmation, validation.
yeah, so just playing with that and how to be I've been diagnosed a moral perfectionist, which is 1000% true. I am a perfectionist. I am an Enneagram 3, the achiever, like always pushing myself. So to hear, for me, I'm always trying to make others happy. I'm always trying to look good and like be a person people want to be around and like have
Yeah.
in their life. And I feel like I really had to suppress my anger and my parts of that are very bold and intense,
Yeah.
and because that was, shunned when I was little. Like, you're too much. Don't sit down,
Absolutely.
stop talking, step, take a step back.
Yeah. Your feelings
Little
are,
boy's like, what? No, I'm here and you're gonna fucking listen to me. And
yeah.
'cause I got something to say to you. So I just think that's been like a lesson that keeps coming up. My like with my fire placements and all this fire I have and my anger and how it's like the same with passion and like where am I going to put that energy and like where do I want to feel that energy and acceptance of every single part of myself. Like
Yes.
that has been, there's always a part hiding that you
Well,
don't
I
like.
think you really hit it though, like with that masculine, feminine kind of energy thing. We've been taught for how long that little girls, speak with their inside voices and we don't do this. And how dare we go out and scream and carry on? And, a guy can yell at somebody and then a woman raises her voice and people are like, oh my God, did you hear her lose her mind? It's like it's the
Yeah.
same fucking thing. So to accept that, to own it as feminine, as your version of feminine as well as your sacred like your holy emotion.
Mhm.
Is it what's your, in human design, how we have like I have a sacral response, like I am a responder.
Um, my, I'm a responder to an it's emotion. I have emotional authority,
Mm,
but I have to wait to make decisions. Here,
right.
yeah, right here. I think I'm sequel too. I Yeah, my strategy is to respond, and my not self theme is frustration, which I
That's
was,
me too.
oh my God, I'm
Yeah.
frustrated all the time. So
Same girl.
I'm really not living by design. But I'm a generator, obviously.
You're a like I thought you said so you were a manifester.
No, I'm a generator.
Oh,
But everybody has, and I'm learning, this is all new to me too. I'm like just getting into it. Everybody has an arrow. Every person on the planet is either a non-specific manifester or a specific manifester, like the way you manifest things.
oh, I'm sorry. I
No,
thought
it's
you
okay. I didn't know any of
manifestor
this either.
type.
No, I'm a
Okay.
generator, but everybody on this earth is either one or the other. You either
Yes.
manifest specifically, which is like very detailed, you have to tell the universe what you want, or non-specifically, you just have to be like, universe, you wake up and you're like, lead me where I'm supposed to be. And that's of course me. So
Of course.
yes, but it's
Have
really
you,
cool.
how have you changed since your spiritual journey in 2020 started?
Mm, gosh. It's so funny because the past few months, like I said, I feel like I'm back to square one. So like it's hard for me to like always have praise for myself or like acknowledge my accomplishments or like,
Worry, like just with all the love in my heart, you haven't praised yourself once in this
I know,
conversation.
I don't. I
So like,
don't.
yes, it may be hard, but like, are you able to zoom out and go like the
Yes.
glory of 4 years ago maybe wouldn't have moved to Steamboat Springs out of nowhere with like,
Oh my gosh, yeah. Glory 4 years ago would have just I would because right now I'm really struggling to be nice to myself right now.
Mhm.
But I would say my relationship with myself was so disconnected. It was so not nice. It was very negative.
Mhm.
Um, I'm just realizing that like she didn't have, and it's always a learning. I think self-worth and self-love is like the journey of Earth. Like
Yeah.
always coming back to that, but I think I definitely have more self-worth now and more
Mhm.
self-love, you know, and I do think my relationship has completely changed with myself, even though like I'm struggling with it right now. I just think I have more compassion for myself. I have more acceptance. I'm able to like reparent those parts of me.
Mhm.
Um, Giselle always says one thing about you is like you're gonna get the right support around you. I'm seeing three different things. I'm doing EMDR therapy right now. I'm doing feminine coaching. I'm doing regular, trauma therapy. So I think I've always been able to give myself um that gift of support, but I think I know who I am. I don't really listen. Like this is like hard and people are going to be like bullshit, but people's opinions matter, but not as much as they used to.
Love,
I'm
love.
gonna do and give myself permission to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
Like no matter what. So like I'm debating, I think my next move I want to move to Australia and like people have been telling me you're fucking crazy. Like you can't move to Australia. Like people that I really love, that are really important in my life. It's so far, like what are you gonna do there? Like, but it just feels right to me. So like
You're
I'm so
drawn.
I'm gonna fucking do it. Where in the past I would have been like, oh wait, they're right. Like that's way too far. Like the fear.
Totally.
And I think one of the best things about me, and I don't know if it's my Aries, but like I've walked like side by side with fear my whole life, and
Mhm.
fear's never really held me back. So like that is something I'm proud of. Like
Love.
fear is my bestie. Like
It's like a
it's
motivator.
always there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always there, but it's never gonna stop me. It's never
Mm.
gonna stop me. So I think I've always had a good relationship with fear and risk taking and
Yeah.
starting something. So
Well,
there,
and I
there
think
there's some self-praise
thank
for me.
you. But everybody, well, I think it's really hard when you say you're going to do something and people it challenges their belief systems, it challenges
100%.
their
That is also one of the most hardest spiritual lessons I've learned is when your relationship changes because you're triggering other people because we're all mirrors.
yeah.
That's also one of the hardest lessons I think everybody has to learn and to not take things personally, right? Like that's so hard to
Well,
do.
and the mirror thing is huge. Like I was living in a place where I was living with this roommate and I did not care for him at all. Like there was something about him, like my hackles just went up.
Yeah.
And I was listening to the Brené Brown, I think it was Rising Strong, and she's saying, do you believe everybody's doing their best? And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. And so in that moment, if you think of that person as doing their best, what is the most compassionate thing you can think about that person? And that really helped me to go, like,
Mm.
because I was just angry. Like, it
Yeah.
was just like, what the fuck? Like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to talk to you. You're so condescending. You're such a rude pig. I don't even want to deal with you. And it was like, you know what? This is a mirror. This person has shown up and is showing you the things that you don't like about yourself or
Yeah.
or activating things. And so that's actually one of the things that I've tried to keep with me on this end of the spiritual lesson is when I'm triggered, when people come up, they're a mirror and there is some part of
That's
me.
hard
It
to
fucking sucks, especially when
Yeah,
my
I'm like, wait, I don't have that low a self-worth, or like I don't have that much, like I'm not that mean of a person. Like
I don't think I'm smarter than everybody in the room.
Like,
Apparently I do from
yeah,
time to time.
that's a hard ass lesson. And like the reverse too. Like when you trigger people and you're like, whoa, like what the hell did I do to you? Like, why are you treating me like this?
Mhm.
Oh wait.
That's a hard one too, because of
Yes.
course we try to internalize everything and we're taught to, because
Right.
especially I think a lot of spiritual people, it's born out of necessity.
Mm,
It's we see details, we feel the change of energy. It's our survival relies on it at a young
yes.
age.
Yes.
And then that somehow, if we are lucky and honed in enough, we can turn that into intuition, gut
Yeah.
instinct, putting that on. And so it's tough to go from survival into thrival, for lack of a better
I
term.
love it. I love it. Yeah. And I think that's the battle too. Like we are on a planet where, you know, it's hard to survive. You need some of the 3D, you need to protect yourself. Gabby Bernstein, she was one of the first, thought leaders I really bought into. And she, was the one who turned me onto IFS therapy and just
What's IFS?
internal family systems
Oh,
therapy.
yes. Yeah.
And it really has that talk about learning to love yourself in all parts. She always says, like, we are living on planet Earth. You need to disassociate sometimes. You
Yes.
need to protect yourself sometimes. Like, those parts are not bad. They are protecting you. And like, I think that's the biggest thing too. Like, I always tell people, like, if you were fully awake all the time and you were just like, I'm here and I am loved, like, you'd be mugged and shot. Like,
Yeah.
you would be killed.
Yeah.
You wouldn't survive. So
No.
I think that's the hard part too, is like learning when duality, like, hello, Gemini,
Yes.
and like the balance of when, because also like opening your heart, right? It's not open 24/7. And that was the lesson that I taught that too, of like, if you walked around with an open heart, like you would
Oh,
a mess. And
I,
so
I
our
can't
heart's
even
like
open
a
TikTok
flower.
with an
No,
open heart. Like I
yeah,
just sob for days.
literally.
Yeah.
So it's like your heart is like a flower, right? Like it's
Yeah.
always closing and opening, always.
That's a
So
beautiful sentiment.
yeah,
And I remember there's some like saying about a flower doesn't choose who it blooms around. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
a flower is in that environment and when it blooms, it blooms. So
yeah.
consider yourself lucky to see it bloom, basically.
I
So I
love
think
that.
that's a really beautiful thing to like put that with the heart system.
I
Uh,
love.
Now with that, with knowing all of the difficulties, with knowing everything that like life, we are on earth, things happen, good and bad. There's shadow, there is light, there is day, there is night. What do you wish you knew when you started your spiritual
Mhm.
journey?
I wish I knew that. uh, I wish I started alone. I really did. I didn't
Mhm.
have, you know, people surrounding me that were like speaking my same language.
Yeah. I think that's very
Um,
common.
yeah, a lot of like my friends, and the people that were really important to me in my life
Mhm.
looked at me like you're fucking crazy. And I triggered a lot of people.
Yeah.
I did. I really did. Um, I was a party girl. I was drinking my face off. I was mean. I had a temper. And I make myself look bad. I was so much fun.
Yeah.
I've always been
You're
full
like,
of
I'm a
life.
literal
I've always
angel.
been loud. I've always been funny. So I'm not this like evil. I wasn't this
No.
evil, mean person, but um I think I wish I knew that like you're gonna be, the type of person that I chose to be. Like you're gonna be alone, but like you're gonna find people
Mm.
that really like connect with you. And
Yes.
you're not going to be like alone forever in that sense. And I also wish I just knew like the depths that I can go to are a gift. Like not a lot of people can go to
Mm.
that level.
Yeah.
And I just wish I like loved loved myself more. And like I wish I was prouder of myself and
Yeah.
realizing that like what you're doing is like gonna change your life and you're gonna crush it. Like you're
Yeah.
so I would say that to myself.
I
I
mean,
I kind of twisted your question. Like, what would you say to yourself?
that's okay. I don't care. Twist away. weave webs,
Yeah.
do what you gotta do.
So yeah, I wish the someone I said I someone or I said to my knew like you were born for this. Like this, like fuck yeah, you can do this. And you're gonna crush it.
Well, and you are. And like I think that's another thing is that like it doesn't end the spiritual journey. Like yes, you can opt in, you can opt out, you can, go on vacation and be like, you know what, I'm not fucking doing this. I'm not doing shadow work for the next 6 months or whatever it is. If you need a break, take a break. But like I think that's it. You can choose how much you're putting into it. And like anything else, whatever you put in, you get tenfold back.
Mm, I love that. And that because that just happened to me. I took a break from journaling, breath work, and meditation for like 2 months because I
Yeah.
just could not handle that. I needed to sit in my darkness and sit and let the depression take over. And
Yeah.
now I'm like coming out of it. Like, and you're right. Like it doesn't make me like, oh, I'm not back asleep. You can never go back. Like once you
No.
wake up, you can never fall back asleep. Like
The
I
toothpaste does not ever go back in the tube. Good luck trying to get it in. I remember
and
Bethany
I think
Frankel said
another and it's hard because like most people don't realize because it's so deeply subconscious how much they don't like themselves. That is the problem with the world.
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
everyone's walking around hate not liking themselves.
Not feeling good enough, not feeling it's funny because
Yes.
I've been working on a 4-week manifestation thing, and this week
Yes.
we're working on releasing and limiting belief systems is one of the big things we're talking about. And I was just at my aunt's real estate office because one car, one household, it's a
Yep.
beautiful, doing our part. And I mean, I don't have a car. So I came downtown with her and was working at her real estate office and connected with this lovely lady who works there. And we were talking about abandonment and all of this and how these things come up and like that belief system of I'm not good enough. I'm not love. I mean, my dad's dead. I don't talk to either one of my siblings, and I'm estranged from my mom and 90% of my blood family because I will not compromise and betray myself for other people's comfort.
Period.
And I have healed alone and started the journey alone, but nobody heals alone. You
Yeah.
always, community is necessary. And
Yeah.
like the internet has been, I mean, there's so many great things, there's so many shitty things, but I met you through
hmm
Instagram.
hmm
I've met several incredible, really good friends, like soul family through, because how the hell in a pandemic are we going to end up in the same place in the same,
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Right.
The universe shifted, put us together in whatever way was tangible for us. And we've all connected with our soul families and our mentors and all of that. And I think like, yes, you started alone, but you do not, it never ends alone.
Yeah.
That's just my
I
shit.
love it. I love it.
Um, Now you did say that like with breath work is when you feel you're most connected spiritually. Is there any places, any other activities, any else, other things that bring you?
Yeah, cliche, but I think it's because my Virgo moon, like in nature, I
Mhm.
like need nature, need.
I'm a Taurus rising. Trees are my
Yeah,
life. Yeah.
like need nature. Um, I feel really connected when I'm in like a circle, like a
Mhm.
community, like a circle of people that are just getting vulnerable and speaking this language. Like, let's talk about hard shit. And I think for, for me, it's like people that are like awake and aware of it and they know,
Mhm.
you know, there's so much beneath the surface that most people aren't talking about or even acknowledging.
Yes.
So I just think like in that vulnerable like sharing space, I feel so connected to spirit. And when I travel, I'm
Mhm.
learning, I feel like alive.
Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. There's just like a cup within me that
Mm,
does not get filled up if I am not traveling.
dude, like 1000%.
Ugh. Whereas, so obviously Australia is going to be on the list. We know Glory loves the list. So, is there anywhere else that you'd like to try? Did you say Costa Rica? Did we have a couple?
I'm going to Costa Rica. I have like this weird pull that I need to go to like the Amazon. Like I don't know what it is. Like I
Oh,
need to go there like so bad. Like it's like number one on my list to
yeah.
go. But everyone's like, you can, it's so dangerous and the bugs. And I'm like, shut up.
Everybody
My
has.
dad's like, you cannot go there. And I'm like, oh my God. My mom's like, I'll go. And
Yes.
he's like, no. He's like, no. I'm like, okay, bro. Like, so yeah, that's on my list. I've only really been to like Western Europe. So like, I loved Scotland. Oh my God. I
Yeah.
loved Scotland. London was okay. Ireland was beautiful. I really want to go to like Italy and Spain.
Oh,
Definitely. I want to go every.
I know. I'm a Mediterranean. I just feel like I do well in the Mediterranean. That's
Oh,
just
I
a
love that
theory.
for you. I love that for you.
I did Greece. And I felt the same, like, because I moved out west when I was 18 into the mountains and like felt that and did all that. And I've like plopped around. I spent a little time in Australia, in Perth. I spent a little time in the prairies where it's like literally nothing and it's like nothing but you and God at that
Literally.
point. And then went to Greece. And that was like I say I was activated. There are
Oh,
like
I
cells.
wonder what your astrocartography is. I wonder if you have like a major line going through. You
You
probably
know
do.
what? Out of all of the places of the world, I've never actually even I've checked my astrocartography so many times and I've never looked at Greece. So to anybody who doesn't know, astrocartography is a thing. I think it's like astro.com. You can go in,
Yeah.
search astrocartography, you put in your birth date, your date of place of birth, and what's the other time of birth, and it will like show you all of the lines of the earth and like where there are certain like where your Venus is lit up, like
Mhm.
where you can show who
Yourself. Yeah.
Mercury, your MC, like your career line. And
Yeah, I
yeah,
have like 6 lines going through Australia, so I'm like, okay.
I'm so
Giselle was like, you need to go there slash live there at some point in your life. I was like, well, I feel like now's the time to do that. So.
that's just it. I mean, a little Amazon stopover on the way to to Australia. Off we go. Um, yeah, I love that so much for you. There's just I think that's the most exciting thing is like when I do readings, when I'm in these conversations, I can feel what's coming for the other person.
Wait, tell me, please. You know, I'm like, please
No,
tell
I
me.
just like always see and feel like you're a leader. It does not matter. Like the reason why you're living your life the way that you are, the reason why you feel alone and like you're the person who is out there for the world is because you are on this earth to experience things that other people can relate to further down the line. It's like you are a spiritual leader, you're a physical leader, you're the mind, body, and spirit leader. Like you know how to integrate all three, where like some people, like I'm more of a spiritual leader. I'm maybe a little bit of a mind leader, but more so spiritual over so. And so you are on this earth to collect all of these experiences, to live through, to be drawn to all these places, which there's that unspecific manifesting. But because there you're going to meet that person, you're going to experience that thing that it's like the butterfly effect, obviously. And like you are just this beautiful little butterfly who is going around and it's like almost like your wings are like getting different spots and getting different like markings and because you had to evolve into this butterfly, you're out of the cocoon, but because it still feels like lonely at certain parts, you may just be flying around in empty space and not communing with your people. But that's where you need to travel to find those people or to attract the experiences, to attract the people that are going to be the next phases of your life. The reason why you can't plan the next phase of your life is because you haven't met the people who are facilitating it.
Oh my gosh, I love you.
I love you. If anybody does not know, Gloria and I actually like rely on each other quite a bit for spiritual uplift.
Literally uplifting.
Yeah.
Please lift me up spiritually.
It's it's beautiful because in our it's great to hold space for other people, but when you're a person who does this work, there's not a lot of people who you feel safe with to hold space for you.
So true. So true.
And so like I am so grateful that you and I have connected in the ways that we have and that
Same.
like I'm able to tell you about my fears. I'm about like I can tell you about my perceived failures and all of that.
Okay.
Because my God, we all need a safe space. We all need a safe space.
So true. It's like
So,
the most important thing.
well, and this is it. And like in that theme, how do you navigate your difficult situations, your challenges, the unfun things?
Oh, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Um, I, like I said, trust is like a big thing for me.
Mhm.
So just like finding the people that I trust. Nature has been like the answer.
Yeah.
That when I feel disconnected, I'm like, let me go walk with the trees.
Hmm.
Um, just like honestly, giving myself permission. So
Mm,
like my pattern, my wound is that I like judge. I'm like, I can't feel depressed. I can't feel this way.
right.
I can't feel hopeless. I can't feel unfaithful. Like that is wrong.
Mm,
But breath work allows me to change that narrative and say, this is your experience. Like,
yeah.
this is how you feel right now. That's fucking okay, Glory. And like
Yeah.
that's my medicine.
Oh,
Acceptance. Like that is what cures me.
so often we try to gaslight ourselves out of
Oh
things,
my God, yes.
to say, oh, I'm not actually feeling it. Is it really this bad? Am I really tapped into this? And like you say, just that
Yeah.
acceptance of this is how you feel in this moment. Sit with it.
Yeah. And let it be here because I've really realized the more you shame and you judge and you
Yeah.
resist and you're like, I should not feel this way, the longer it lingers. But the moment you say you're allowed to be here,
Yeah.
this feeling is allowed to be here. You
Yeah.
can feel this way right now. It literally lasts 90 seconds. I can't even, I shit you not. I've had so many experiences where like for weeks I'll be like, I can't, like realizing, oh my God, I've been shaming this emotion. Let me lay down and breathe into it and let it be here. And then I feel better. I get up I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And
Silly
yeah,
Pete.
yeah. Remember this? Yeah, you
Yeah.
have, yeah,
Well,
okay.
what I just got like the visual of is like being hangry. Like all of a sudden you can feel yourself just like getting like ornery, and then you have like your little morsel, and you're like, oh my God, it's like those Snickers commercials where the guy's like screaming his head off, and then all of a sudden he's just like a sweet little businessman at the
Yeah,
end.
yep. Yeah. So that's really what's brought me out
I
so
remember
many times.
being at a restaurant with my ex-boyfriend, and we are at this Italian restaurant, and this Australian guy, like, when you just hear like the tail end of somebody's conversation or like one line, this Australian guy out of nowhere just goes, coulda, shoulda, fucking didn't. And that is in my head 24/7. I have like erased should almost from my vocabulary entirely, because this guy, I hear this Australian man, this older, fun Australian man going, coulda, shoulda, fucking didn't. It's like, right? Why beat myself up? I didn't do it. I coulda, I shoulda, and I fucking didn't. So let's move it
Yeah,
along.
with that.
So, I'm gonna need somebody who's Australian to send me a voice memo saying
Yeah.
coulda, shoulda, fucking didn't, and I'll just play that over and over again.
Affirmations.
Yeah,
That's
really, that's my new affirmation.
yes.
What affirmations are you using right now?
Um, I'm allowed to feel this way.
Mm. And
Yeah.
like for anybody who's listening, to sit through these things, to of course we're gonna feel them and we're gonna beat ourselves up, but to change the way that we're talking about it to ourselves.
Yeah.
And like Gloria says, I'm allowed to feel this way.
Yeah. Like you're allowed to be here, like talking to my emotions. You're allowed
Yeah,
to be,
yeah, I
yep.
love that.
And I'm trying to think. One that I actually was thinking about this yesterday, like I deserve like what I want.
Mm.
Like I
Can I,
deserve.
I don't even know where this camera actually is, but I have to show you. My goal is to give myself everything I deserve.
Oh
That's
my
like my
God.
background on my camera
I'm
screen.
obsessed.
So it's so funny that you said that, because
I
girl,
had that last night. I did a breathwork class last night and like I took it. And that was like the message I was just telling my younger self, like, you deserve the life that you want to live. Like, you deserve it.
it's beautiful.
So I'm trying to believe that consciously.
Well, and like, yes, fake it till you make it works in certain things like retraining our brains.
Yep.
Yes, okay, maybe we don't have the full feeling behind it yet, but if we learn to say these things to ourselves, then the feeling will attach to it, and then that will lift our whole vibration. Before you know it, we're feeling fucking good again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, when did you know that you were called to explore this spirituality more and like as a career and to develop this practice deeper?
Hmm, that's a really good question. So Renee um calls people like us like a bridge or bridges.
Mm.
We're the bridge from the 3D to the 5D. Um, and I walked into her space and she was like, "Oh, hi. You,
I've been waiting for you.
yeah, you are meant to be to hold people, to show people the way. Like you are a torch. You're a torch." And so it took me a while to have the confidence to like do that. But when I went to Philly, I didn't have a space anymore that I could just go to. So I created my own and I started to do breathwork classes there. I started the Morning Glory Instagram just to share quotes, like literally just to share quotes. Um, and then it just organically evolved into like my business and like so my goal always like when I kind of woke up, I was like, I want to create a space where people can just come and
Mhm.
heal and talk and like a wellness center like that has massage and Reiki and astrology and classes. Like I think of like the Omega Center like where they host retreats there and stuff. Like I would like love to have a space like that. And just have this space where people can come and like heal themselves and be held, similar to what I experienced like with Renee.
Yeah.
Um, it's always evolving, like your vision, right? Like
Yeah.
as you grow. Um, but I just know that I've always known that I'm meant to help people. Like, hi Virgo Moon. I know I'm meant to help people, and this is like my favorite way to do so.
Mm.
So
I
we'll
love
see
that.
where
This
they
is your
me.
favorite way.
Yeah, yeah, it
Beautiful.
is.
Yeah.
It's just giving people the tool to reconnect with themselves, like that's in itself is raising the earth's vibration and helping people. So
Absolutely. So
yeah,
do
I
you have
kind of
like core values with the Morning Glory? Like with mine, the Vibe Curator, mine's like intuition, connection, empowerment, and oh my God, I can't remember the fourth right now. That's terrible. Empowerment, intuition, connection, and that is terrible. I cannot remember my fourth core value. Glory.
yeah, so I have more of like a mission statement.
Yeah.
Um, Morning Glory is just turning turning the alchemy of turning self-awareness to
Mhm.
self-acceptance.
Ooh, snaps for that one.
So
Love it.
that's why.
I mean, it certainly is the
Because
vibe.
I was a person that was self-aware my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but that is not the same thing as
No.
self-acceptance, and it's not the same thing. And usually people that are so self-aware have a horrible relationship with themselves and talk horribly to themselves. So like, and I'm exhibit A of that.
So
Um,
what would you what encouragement or what advice would you give to somebody who's trapped in self-awareness right now and self
ooh, that's a juicy question. I would tell them probably because I had so many people in my life like this where they're so self-aware, but they do
yeah.
nothing about it. And that used to be me too. Like I didn't
Mhm.
know what to do. So if you're so self-aware and you're like stuck and you have no idea like what to do, um, I would say like what makes you feel the most connected to yourself? Like
Mm,
what activity, what place, is there a person? Go there and really, ask yourself, what do I want my life to feel like?
yeah.
And when you have that answer, I always, like I said, I've been praying since I came out the womb.
Hmm.
Just say a prayer,
You came
to
out the womb with your
whoever.
hands
I
together.
did. I
Yeah.
did come out with my hands together. Say a prayer.
Yeah.
You know,
Beautiful.
what is my next step? What is
Yeah.
my direct next step to
Mhm.
self-acceptance or to bettering my relationship with myself?
Mm.
So yeah, I would go where you feel most connected. Ask yourself what you want your life to like feel like,
Yeah.
not necessarily even look like, feel like,
Yes.
and then pray.
And one of the things that I learned, pardon me, about prayer, I remember the other word was growth, just so you know. I had
Okay, yeah,
that there. I
love
remember.
it.
I know it was killing you. I know you couldn't sleep tonight. Um, but prayers is there's a guy, Kyle Gray. I think I've mentioned him before. He's out of the UK and he talks to angels. He's the angel guy. And he always says, thank your guides and angels or God or whichever it is you believe in for, thank you for showing me the next step. Thank you
Mm,
for bringing bringing me to the perfect place. And it's like
yeah,
trusting that it's going to happen and you've already thanked them for it. So I would just add that as like a little cherry on
love
top
that. I
as
love that.
already happened. Now, what would you consider are your spiritual gifts?
Oh, I think I've had this. My energy. Like
Mhm.
I can really meet people
Mhm.
in the space they're at. I'm really, really good at holding space. So like I'm really great at just like that holding space
Yeah.
energy. And also one of my biggest gifts, and it's always been this way, like even before I had my spiritual awakening, I ask the best questions. Like I'm always like, I want to get deep. Like
Yeah.
when I meet you, like tell me about tell me about your childhood. Like,
Yeah.
and why is that? Like my core values are curiosity and perseverance. And
Wow.
curiosity, like I literally was a little girl that was like, why? Why? Well, why? 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 So like questions for me are the heart of getting to know somebody,
I
are the
love that.
heart of like growing and helping. Like that is like asking the right questions and just that is the doorway, I think. And like,
Mm.
but asking it in like a safe way, right? So like I
Of
need one or
course.
the other, like, okay, I'm holding space for you, but like let
Let
me
me dig
help you
into
go
that.
deeper. Let me
Yeah.
see you.
Yeah.
Like, let me see you in all that you are. And I forget what it is in my chart. I think it's like my Venus. I think I have like a Venus conjunction with Pluto, something like that,
Mhm.
where I always see everybody, I always can see their highest version, even if they're not acting that way, which is a blessing and a curse.
I bet because I get the ick so easily with people. I
I love
I
that.
dated before my spiritual awakening and I've barely dated after because blessings to those who are found, but you all are not for me. Like there's,
I love it.
there's something, but it's that feeling of you can feel when somebody's at their highest. You can feel when somebody
Yes.
is attracted to something they need within you as
Yes.
opposed to getting to know and develop and yeah. So I love that you
Yeah.
said that because I relate very strongly.
I wonder if you have that placement too. So,
We'll have to check it out.
okay.
Gets the ick? Yep, right there. Just joking.
Icked easily.
Icked easily. So within that great question asker, what questions would you suggest or encourage somebody to start journaling on?
Yeah, I love this question. Um, a couple of journal questions that really recently helped me is where who are you spending all your time with? Like top four people.
Yeah.
What are you spending your time doing all
Mhm.
day? Top four things. Um, if you had no financial constraints, what what would a day look like? What would you do? Like what would your ideal day be? Um, and one question that I recently was stumped with, which is like crazy, is like, what is like your biggest desire right now?
Mm.
What do you want right now? And I think for me, I'm like, I want a lot of things,
Yeah.
right? Like, so it's hard for me to pick one, but like, what's the one thing, what's the biggest thing you desire right now?
Can I ask you, what is the biggest thing you desire right now?
Oh my gosh. See, like I was prompted with that question yesterday and I was like, I'm gonna sleep on it, like whatever.
What
And I
did your
still don't
gut
have an
say? You're a
answer.
responder, right?
Mhm.
So what was the first
Yeah.
thing that came to your brain?
I just want to travel. Like I just want to experience like new things right now.
Yeah. You're
Really.
in an experience like
Yeah.
phase.
I
Yeah.
don't want to be like tied down right now.
Love.
I just
I
want
can give you tips. Just
okay. Yeah. I can't wait.
yeah, no, I
So
love
yeah, I just want to be free. Which is like the opposite of what a lot of my friends are doing right now. Like
Mhm.
lots of engagements, lots of like moving in together. Everyone kind of like has their life partner, in my life, which like I
What
I
they
love
think
I
is their
love
life
it.
partner, girl,
I
because we
love
got a
it. No,
lot
I
of
love
folks
it. I
who
love
love
that.
this.
I know. I love it for them.
No, no, I get it. It's
But
very
I'm definitely the black sheep. Like I'm
yes.
definitely the black sheep friend.
Yeah.
It's just like I'm fucking gonna do life differently. Like, bye.
But again, that's your calling. Like that's kind of where you've always been, is
Yeah.
just within, but having a different experience of it.
Yeah.
So travel, that's your greatest desire, is to be free and to experience and enjoy.
Freedom. That was like when I like thought about what I want my life to be,
Hmm.
the word free.
I love that.
And
That's
that was like a surprise for me. I was like, oh,
yeah. Ooh, I wasn't
interesting word. And like that's an interesting word,
yeah.
Glory. So yeah.
Well, I think it's cool when we like start to kind of go into like I wasn't expecting that. That's different. Like when you do get those messages come through that are your highest self or
Yeah,
are
you just know. You're like, I would have never said that. Like
never in a
this
million
brain
years.
would have never said that. I know it's not coming from this brain. It's coming
This Virgo moon ain't saying shit like that.
exactly. Virgo Moon's like, no, you need a routine and a schedule and to be like disciplined. I'm like,
But did you
no.
say you're Libra rising?
No, Leo.
Oh, sort of Leo. Okay, well, yeah,
Oh,
hella,
oh my gosh. I have to be seen. I have
yeah,
to be heart led. Like I like one thing about me, like I have a lot of pride for like I have a lot of conscious pride for
yeah,
I love my placements. I'm obsessed with them. Like I love my Aries sun. Bye.
yeah.
Like bad.
I don't think I've ever met an Aries sun who didn't love their Aries
Oh,
sun.
yeah. Like I love myself.
Yeah.
Like which people are like, wait, you just talked about the whole podcast how you don't like yourself. Like, but like consciously, I love myself. My Virgo moon, like low key, I like love that I have the hardest sign. Like
Well,
I'm
because
like,
for you, it's a
play.
challenge. It's like, of
Right.
course, I can make this happen. I can deal with all of this strife. I can
Yeah.
figure
And
out how
I
to
love
channel this.
Virgos. Like I
Yeah.
love Virgo suns. I love them.
Yeah.
Virgo moons, they're hard. But that's I've also been living with these placements for 26 years. Like they're my besties. Like
Totally.
and then Leo rising, like I feel like I love that I'm a Leo rising. Like every Leo rising I meet, I am like I'm like you're my like we are kindred spirits. Like
Totally.
I can relate to every single I want to do like a case study on that. Like every same rising sign, like you're like, I see you. Like,
Yeah.
hi, we are the same.
We
And
connect.
yeah, and like I love Deborah Silverman. Like she's a really badass astrologer. I love her. If you've never heard of her, like
Yeah, I
look into her
haven't.
work. Oh my God, she's amazing. And she really talks about how like we can tap into our rising sign to live our soul's purpose. Like that is our soul's
Yeah.
purpose. Our rising sign is our soul. Like
Mhm.
that, those characteristics are what's going to make us follow the right path.
And
Like,
feel,
yeah, like you're born, right? We all sit in our sun sign energy comfortably. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
but your rising sign is what brings, like, I feel like our sun signs like our humanness and
Hmm.
our rising signs like our soul. And so the more qualities we can like combine with both of them, it's amazing. And I love the Leo qualities, like living from your heart, like being big, being seen, like loving and regal, like that. I'm like, hell
Yeah.
yeah. And then I'm a Pisces Venus, which is like, who, it's my only water, like, sign. Who did that?
Who
Who,
did that?
who up there was like, fire, 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 water,
Like
love,
a one drop.
water, love. That in your love life, you are gonna be the complete opposite. And it's so potent. In my
It's
love life, in romantic relationships, I am like the complete opposite of
it's
like,
crazy
oh my
how
God.
like I'm a Leo moon. So
And
imagine
oh yeah,
being in
you're
love
big.
with a
You're
Leo moon.
big in there. Your emotions and your brain is screaming at
Oh,
you.
Cancer, Sun,
Yeah, I know. You are just
Leo, Moon, Taurus, Rising, and I'm a
you're just
fucking
confused. Like you're confused.
all three parts of me want
You're
different things.
yes, yes. Your energy is at least my Aries sun and my Leo rising can get together and be like, let's go.
They
Like
can start like a wildfire
we're
right
like,
now.
let's go. Like
Yeah.
hell yeah. Attention, attention, attention.
Mine's like I want to travel, but I also need a home, and I also never want to be anywhere. I also want to be on the like in the water all the time. Like it's absurd. It's absurd. Oh.
I love astrology.
So, would you say that you learned more about yourself through astrology than like with that initial reading? Like it really helped to kind of understand different parts of you?
Yeah, people like, especially straight white men, like I love, there's this TikTok and it was like, nobody acts out their signs more than a straight white man that doesn't believe in it. And I was like, oh my God. So people think like, but why, like they think they're tied down to like these characteristics, right? I
Yeah.
think astrology is just like a map of your life. Like
Yes.
you're going, oh, this is this, it's like your energy, it's like your aura. Like it's not who you are, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not, you're not set in stone. Like Aries has all these different qualities that are good, and then they have a list of all these qualities that are bad. And like
With
there's
every
so
sign.
many.
Yeah.
There's so many. Like it's
Yeah.
not, you're not just angry all
You're
the
not
time.
always the skillful version, and you're
Yes.
not always the unskillful version.
It just helps you, I think, feel seen,
Yeah.
and it helps you like I use astrology. I'm like, oh my God, like what's happening right now in the sky?
Yes.
Everyone always texts me, Gloria, what's happening? Like I
Yeah.
feel like this way. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's because of this. Like
Yeah.
the sky literally, like to think that we are not affected by like what the hell is going on up in the sky is
Yeah.
so ignorant, I think. And it's so like, okay,
Yeah.
crazy.
It's 2024. You can believe in fucking
Yeah,
like
like, and I
crypto, but you
just
can't
think
believe in astrology.
literally, like
Yeah.
you use ChatGPT and you're not gonna believe in like
And
that's
we're in the age of Aquarius and you didn't fucking see that one coming? Yeah, exactly.
so I just think astrology really helped me like understand my past,
Yeah.
understand like, okay, yeah, like I really did choose this. Like it's in my chart. Like
Right.
and that is a hard pill to swallow.
Accepting what's in your, yeah.
And that's a hard spiritual pill to swallow. Like, people that have cancer and people that have abusive parents or that
Yeah.
were, sexually assaulted or
Yeah.
sexually abused. Like, I chose this. Like,
Yeah.
wait, why
I
the
that
fuck would I ever choose that? I think that's a really, you got to tiptoe around that.
well, that was
Oh,
because when I got attacked in
yes, yes, I
family,
remember this. Horrible.
that was one of the hardest things
Yes.
for me was because I'd been living such a, for lack of a better term, like a high vibrational life. Like I'd been
Yeah.
doing everything quote unquote right. And why the fuck was I the person on that day
Yeah.
who had that happen? And you know what? Astrology helped to make
Mhm.
sense of it for me because I had a
Yes.
friend at the time who was an astrologer or is an astrologer. We just aren't friends anymore. And she was telling me that like that time was when predators, like I forget what transit it was. I'm sure if I went back to the audio recording, I could
Yeah.
find. It was like at that transit, it was like when predators were getting caught. And
Mhm.
I was the only person who would have been in that situation who would have all of the shit that I told the cops was how they identified him.
Right.
Everything. And that's actually probably going to be my next solo episode is how my intuition saved my life
Oh, I can't wait to listen.
because that it's super true. I like literally found the victim impact statement today. I found my report from the police, like
Fine.
everything. And it's like, it saved my life. And to know that the reason why it was me who walked out with no physical harm or any sexual harm, thank God, but a hell of a lot of trauma and, post-traumatic stress and all of that. But it's because I was the person who was going to get him caught.
Yeah. Like your soul chose that.
My soul chose that, and it's still to this day is hard to process some of the other
Yeah.
things that have happened and other experiences and go like, how did I choose an alcoholic family? How did I choose
Right. Why did I choose these
mother?
parents? Like,
Right.
yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And
Yeah.
that's talk about hard spiritual lesson, this pill to swallow. Like, people do not want to hear that, you know.
No.
Yeah.
And that is a
And
whole,
astrology helps with that. It really,
yes.
I think you're so right. It really helps with that.
But I
And it
never,
permission gives you permission,
yeah.
I think, too, to just be okay. I'm
These
not
are the conditions.
I'm
And this
not
is what's,
crazy. Yeah, I'm
yes,
not crazy.
exactly.
And there's something going on that's affecting me. Like, it's
Yeah.
not my fault.
Yeah. Somebody explained like your astrology, like your natal chart as these are the conditions in which you were born into and how to make
Yes.
the most of those conditions. So
Yes.
yeah, I've
Yes. And Giselle says it beautifully. Because I kind of was just in like, I was like, oh, like everybody tells me I have a hard chart. Like everyone looks at my chart and is like, damn girl.
yeah.
And I said, I was just like in a session with Giselle, and I was like, I'm sick of that because it makes me feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna have a hard life. And Giselle
Yeah.
looked at me and she was like, Glory, I have never seen a chart in my life that wasn't hard.
That is such a
And I was like, thank you.
it's a
Thank you.
grounding thing to know
Yeah,
that like yes, your chart is hard. Your life is hard in the ways that it's meant to be hard for you. And that person's life is going to be hard in ways that is meaningful for them and their growth and their path.
right, right.
And it doesn't make it any easier to swallow, but later down the line, it's like what is the lesson? What is the blessing? You know what I mean?
Mhm, yeah,
And there may not be both of those present, but there's definitely going to be one of them. So
right.
I think that's super interesting that you said that. Um, so what advice would you give to somebody who has no idea where to even start?
Oh, what helped me start was books. I
Yeah.
read. I
Yeah.
read my first ever spiritual book was Four Agreements.
I love that book.
That like I was like, oh my God. And then I read um Eckhart Tolle, um, Power Up Now,
Yeah.
and then New Earth, and then I got into Gabby Bernstein's books.
Hmm.
Um, so my initiation was reading.
Yeah.
Um, I'm a reader though. I love to read.
Same.
But I would also say, you know, if you have the resources to book a reading,
Yeah.
you know, to book a reading with you, with a local Reiki practitioner, with a local tarot reader, like
Hmm.
some sort of intuit. That's like such a great gateway. And, you know, I would also challenge you to like I said, what makes you feel the most connected to
Yeah.
yourself and to the earth? Like, what is that? And really like try to learn to understand. It's hard for me to give advice because I've always just been a natural, curious, wanting to go and push myself person. I think a lot of people
But I think
are,
that's advice in and of
yeah,
itself is like allow
yeah,
yourself to kind of be guided. If you're curious
yes,
about something, choose to explore it.
right. And really like set that intention because Gabby always says, when you say yes to your healing, the universe rejoices, like
Mm,
jumps for joy. It wants to do everything it can to start waking you up and getting
yeah,
you on your soul's path. Like that was like one thing I always loved that Gabby said. Like once you say yes, like the universe will do everything in its power to help you. So
inspires for you.
yeah,
Yeah,
just say yes to your healing and to your reconnection of yourself and watch like the magic unfold.
love that. And then other than the books, is there any other resources that you would recommend to anybody?
Yeah, I just, you know, I think social media is such a interesting tool, right? It can hurt, but it can also help. Like really like follow spiritual leaders who you resonate with
Yes.
on social media. I think that really helped me just to have expanders in that way. You can also like find programs. I was turned on to be magnetic program. I think that's like a really cool resource you can use. There's so many courses out there.
Mm,
Cosmic Laundry, Giselle that I work with has so many amazing courses for reconnecting with yourself. Gabby Bernstein has a coaching app. Like podcasts really help me, just like expanding your mind to
Mhm.
sort of like see in a different way.
Yeah.
And, if you're interested in breath work, look around locally, see if you have any local breathwork practitioners. But then like you said, I do virtual, like
Yeah.
you can schedule a session, one-to-one session with me, discovery session with me if that really interested you. But I'm always a person, like you can look locally first, like find it in your own
Totally.
community
You know what? I bet
and then if
somebody who's
yeah,
listening to this, who's like drawn to you, I
yeah.
would not hesitate to recommend Glory for breathwork, for life coaching, for anything, because I know what I experienced 2,000 kilometers away from you, and
Mm,
healing it transgresses time, space, all of that.
yeah,
So, yes, support local, of course, but also I strongly recommend booking with the Morning Glory as well.
thank you. I
Welcome.
appreciate that.
Where can they find you on social, on your website? How do you want to be found?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at underscore the morning glory. There's only one G.
I will link it in
Um,
the notes of
yeah.
this
And
episode.
then my website's on my Instagram. It's themorningglory.com. There's only one G in that. And yeah, that's really where I'm at in the social world with my business. So
Well, and we're setting the intention that you'll be able to find her in person in Australia. And I have family in Perth, so
perfect.
yeah,
Oh,
I
don't they
joke that
all?
it's perfect.
Oh my gosh, I
Yeah,
love that.
it's pathetic. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with me and sharing so much of yourself. Like Lori, you always go above and beyond that little Virgo moon of yours, but it's so appreciated. I am so grateful that you are a light in my life. Like we're just some beacons who stand together and shine our lights on each other. And I cannot say enough how much I know you are going to get everything you want out of this lifetime.
Thank you so much. I love you. I adore you. I'm so happy that we are connected and that I have you for spiritual, guidance too. And I'm really proud that you're starting this podcast and like all the work you're doing to like raise the vibration
Thank you.
and connect people to themselves too is
Well,
amazing.
it's that trust. I had to go all in on it. I knew there was a reason why my body was keeping me from my surgery and why I needed to get this stuff done before. Like, this is something I've always wanted to do. And instead of waiting for the right time, this was just
Mm.
to go all in on it. So thank you for helping me go all in.
Yay.
Love you.
Love you too.
Have a great day, Angel. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Bye.
Bye.